Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. I am your host, Adani, and joined with me, as always, are the greatest co-hosts ever, Manosk and Bodacious. How's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good, pretty good. No, great. No, elite.
Apparently my little logo is over my face. Let me fix that. Oof.
Hey, it's a good logo.
Alright, there we go. Fixed it. Yeah, now, well, I don't want it to, like, if I keep moving and it keeps covering up my face. We're doing this on Saturday because our normal session had to be postponed. Obviously, we have some preliminary numbers, but we're not going to worry about those. We're just going to go back, pretend it hasn't happened yet, and...
well, there's actually a story behind those numbers. I don't know if you heard. That's what kicked off this whole... That's what set this giant war in motion for the week.
Well, let's do a little...
Allegedly.
So let's do a little... preface here. Today, our plan is we're gonna over the course of the week we had some information along with some different stuff come out that Fox has got the ALCS on Fox, so that was going to be Friday. So WWE had to move their SmackDown to FS1,
which not a lot of people have.
Yeah, well, and to my knowledge, that the last time they moved it to FS1, they did extend it an additional.
No, the last time it was the normal 2-hour time. This was the first time they've extended it.
Okay, I was like, now I was hearing different things on that, so. Obviously, we all know that as wrestling fans, Rampage comes on right after SmackDown ends. Well, this week, SmackDown announced that they were going to add an extra 30 minutes to their program, making it 2.5 hours, which means that it goes 30 minutes over into Rampage. Apparently, this didn't sit well with the Tony Khan and the other AEW execs. So,
and the reason why they said is because it was common. Out of courtesy, they made Rampage after SmackDown to not compete with WWE, and they weren't showing the same courtesy in return. Which, as fans,
yeah, it was pretty WCW of them to do that on the WWE's part.
So basically, we had a lot of disrespect, a lot of clapback. We added AEW added a whole additional YouTube show an hour before Rampage. So we had a lot of really interesting and really cool stuff happen because of it. So it looks like at least this week we got what was the closest thing we've had to the Monday Night Wars, at least since TNA tried to challenge WWE.
And we saw how WWE made one move and it slapped TNA down.
Bret Hart.
Yep.
We're going to have Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels reunite on the air. That just teased the heck out of it all night. Nothing Hogan and...
You Monday night on TNA. Yeah.
We got the NWO. Again. They were in every segment, I want to say.
They screwed him over big time. And yeah, so that's a whole different conversation of the fall of TNA from that.
I know, like so different from the last Monday Night War rehash we've had.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, is that we got to experience that, and it brought out some really great, obviously great wrestling, great stuff, and additional wrestling content, and kind of what I want to lead this conversation tonight is that, do we think that one, that is a direction that we're going? Are we going to get a Friday Night War type environment? Like, is that actually going to evolve into a thing? And if it does, will it be anywhere near as special as the Monday Night Wars were?
I can start that off by saying, no, you're not going to get a Friday Night War. Maybe every once in a while you'll have that little special in the one-on-one. But other than that, you're not going to get that too often because companies, like money-wise, for the company, as Tony Khan himself said, neither side will make money by doing no commercials. So I think that when it comes to war, I think it's going to be a war of words with interviews like Roman Reigns put out or what Tony Khan's been putting out, and it's just going to be like a war of words like that. And then maybe, who knows where they go from here. Maybe you might get some competing pay-per-views. I could see WWE moving one of their B pay-per-views on the same weekend or day as like one of the major AEW pay-per-views. This as a because I mean, honestly, that wouldn't cost WWE any money since people aren't buying pay-per-views anymore. It's a subscription service.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would say expect that to happen in 2022.
I definitely agree with what Manas said there. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near the level that it was previously because it's not going to be every week. But occasionally going against him on a Monday night for 30 minutes to an hour, occasionally going after him on a Friday night, occasionally going after an NXT pay-per-view event at the same night, or a WWE pay-per-view event on the same night. I could totally see them doing that. I could even see them maybe going to the same town as them. And I know that they've said that they don't want to interfere with WWE's WrestleMania, but the way that it's going right now, I could see that eventually happening.
I think probably the closest you'll get to them interfering in a WWE WrestleMania weekend is maybe another like one of those super house shows or something like that. I don't see them wasting like money doing like an actual pay-per-view as the same weekend as WWE.
Well, not the same weekend. I would say the weekend before or the weekend after, but like capitalize on the excitement of wrestling during that time frame in their own way. The night before WrestleMania on a Friday night, have a huge event or something to that effect, just to capitalize on it and be like, hey, we were the best event last weekend. You know what I mean?
Save a big debut for that Friday night of WrestleMania weekend.
The way I'm looking at it right now, if you look at how wrestling was in the late 80s, it's almost flipped to where AEW is the thing that everybody wants to see and all the wrestlers want to go to. So they're the WWE right now, as far as that. And then the WCW, the Ric Flair and stuff like that. If you think about whenever they had WWE held WrestleMania, I want to say at the same weekend as the Starrcade in the late 80s. And they did that on purpose to go after him. And I could see it being flipped around to AEW. You have an event, but just do it on a Friday or maybe even a Saturday.
Yeah. And now the question is that a good thing or a bad thing as a fan?
Well, the thing I want to say is this. Obviously, when you look at, again, what we were talking about, the numbers, apparently the rumor is that WWE was leaking the preliminary numbers, which are always lower than the final numbers.
And the reason why is because those numbers, the national upfronts are not free and just given out to anybody. You have to actually pay. You have to pay a lot of money to receive those. So they're saying somebody is paying money to receive those and put those out right away Saturday morning. But it's like one of those. We know who it is, but we don't have actual proof it is who it is. So
I know that
somebody with a lot of money going out of their way doing it.
they wouldn't be putting it out unless they were on top.
Right.
Well, the question
But also,
is,
usually AEW is the one that's tweeting about it the next morning.
That's
Huh?
true.
Usually, stars of AEW are the ones that are tweeting about their demographics the day after.
Right. And like these numbers are not real numbers. They go out, and there's like like.
I don't want to go out on a limb and say it's,
I'm not saying who it is or who everyone thinks it is. I'm just saying somebody's paying a lot of money to do that and release that to the media.
Well, the
I mean, honestly, it doesn't even have to be them. It just could be a friend of a friend who's willing to shell out money for whatever reason.
right,
Somebody who
exactly.
has a lot of stock in the company.
Yeah, that's true. WWE is a publicly traded company, and I don't think AEW is.
No, it's owned by the
So,
Collins.
so
God!
and that's a factor, and that's also, with that said, that's also a factor that's going to keep it. If there is any,
Do the EVPs have any stock options?
Nope. There's
but WCW.
Anybody sell any stock? Holla at your boy.
Well, WCW was publicly traded, so if they weren't publicly traded, they may not have.
WCW, I don't know if it was publicly traded because it was owned by Ted Turner. It was before that the reason it went downhill was because
they were in charge with AOL Time Warner whenever they did the merger. Things shifted, but they were never publicly traded. WWE went public in '99. I want to say.
Yeah. So the reason why that merger even happened is because Ted Turner went through that divorce with Jane Fonda. So the belief is if they never went through that messy divorce, he would never have to merge his company and would never have to have sold the WCW. And WCW might have actually survived and could have been around today, maybe not.
I mean, I don't
bleeding
see
money
why.
like crazy, but
Well, yeah, I mean, but it would have leveled out eventually. Like, I mean, it would. I mean, that's their ratings weren't so bad that they were, they weren't. I mean, they weren't gonna lose money forever. They would have eventually leveled out. And I mean, it's like TNA not dying. Like, it's the same, same scenario. Eventually, yeah, they'll bleed money for a while, but when you have a rich backer, like, there's always money there. Like, and eventually it'll level out where your company starts to make money again. It's just obviously your contracts are much smaller, and your names are much smaller. But
I feel like if Bischoff wouldn't have got shoved out the door, they probably would have been able to do stuff longer.
yeah.
Well, hiring Russo was a terrible decision, and that wasn't something that Bischoff would have been, in on. Or if he would have been, it would have been as a writer and not the guy.
But at least Russo was able to redeem himself by getting hired by TNA and running them to the ground.
so switching gears back to Friday night. Just I want to touch one more base. Real quick before we get back, go to the Monday Night War and what we think. Do you think that Rampage succeeds if it stays in the 10 o'clock time slot?
Yes.
So you think that it stays strong in that position?
I think what you're seeing them do now, they're going to continue to do because I see Rampage as more of the for their hardcore fan base of AEW.
Well, remember
that seems to be the only people tuning in. On
remember
Friday nights, I mean.
Sunday Night Heat, which was an earlier show. It was like at 6 o'clock.
Well, you see, starting in January, you're gonna have Dynamite move to TBS, and then Rampage is gonna be the TNT show. So I think you're gonna not. I mean, the TBS is in more homes than TNT, but you still might have some of those like NBA fans or whatever sports is showing on TNT earlier in the night stick around for those Rampages on Friday nights. So, I mean, Friday Night Rampage for me, I've gotten comfortable watching it on Friday night. If I'm out on Friday night, I make sure to watch it Saturday morning or late at night before I go to bed. I mean,
well, I mean,
think it will be successful.
Well, I'm just saying that. But if you're saying, okay, well, I can watch it before I go out. If it's at 6:00, and if I'm not going out until 7 or 7:30, well, I mean, obviously on Eastern time zone it'd be at 7 because I guess that's.
Let's be honest. Like the only reason SmackDown does well is because it's on network television,
right.
And in more home. If it was not on network television, it would not be pulling the 2.0s weekly. It would probably be right where maybe Raw is, if not maybe a little worse than Raw.
Well, Fox is always.
It wasn't that long ago that it wasn't on Fox, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't getting high numbers when we have before Fox. Fox is what made it the A show because it's available in more homes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that did coincide with Roman Reigns' heel turn, so I mean that was connected also, but.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like the time slot on Friday nights. Plus, it helps that it's the cool show.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean
They don't waste any time.
It's been hot every week. It's what Dynamite was whenever it first started. If I'm being honest, there's been moments here and there where Dynamite's kind of fallen off, but
slow down.
Yeah. But Rampage is that it's got that sweet spot. They don't need to add too much more than what they're already doing. Plus anymore, and I think they'd be just like WWE, where it's too much.
Right.
They got Dark, they got Dynamite, they got Rampage. But I like that it's on Friday night because, like, I know they tried to make Nitro the party show back in the day, but that's on a Monday. It's really hard to go out. I know you party while watching Monday Night Football, I guess, but still, Monday night, it's hard to party. Friday night, though, it's really cool to go out, maybe go to the bar and be like, hey, man, why don't you go put on Dynamite? And be like, man, they don't have nobody cool. But hey, CM Punk. Hey, Bryan Danielson. Hey, Christian. Hey. And you also got these new guys.
Adam Cole, baby.
And they're like, oh, okay. And they put it on, they're like, who's that guy? And then you start talking about it, and they're like, oh, who's this guy that looks like a lizard that just did a backflip? Luchasaurus, man.
And you know what I find amazing? Every once in a while, I'll watch some of the wrestling shows with non-wrestling fans, and it's just the ones they gravitate to. Like on the AEW side, the non-wrestling fans tend to like Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin and Young Bucks and Kenny and like the spot stuff. And then WWE side, they tend to venture towards Ricochet and like a lot of the high flyers, Finn Balor. And then, of course, Roman Reigns, because they love the way Roman Reigns looks. But they're not interested in, like, the regular professional wrestling, like slow professional wrestling matches. And they're not interested in all the talking. They're interested in action, entertaining action.
Well, that's how I feel about it, too. I mean, give me two meaty, two beefy men bumping meat. That's what I want.
Okay, but and I noticed that when I was watching both shows yesterday, is like the one that draws my attention is one with more action going on.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
For free on YouTube.
So, I get the one that has more action going on is what captures my attention. So really, yesterday was a battle of sports entertainment versus pro wrestling, because I don't know why in the world they decided to do a talking segment while the buy-in was on. That was a weird call. They should have used all the talking segments on SmackDown that first hour when there's no competition, and then layer that last hour and a half of nothing but the actual pro wrestling matches. Because when you stop with the pro wrestling matches and you have somebody come in the ring and start talking on the other show, someone's wrestling, what do you think people are going to gravitate towards?
Maybe they originally did have it called that way, but maybe nobody wanted to wrestle against the guy that he really didn't trash talk him on the way out like everybody else does. Respect.
And as they say, CM Punk I accidentally used his WWE name tonight.
Wait, what? Oh.
CM Punk called him Daniel Bryan instead of Bryan Danielson. It's like, I'm just going to call him American Dragon.
It's a common mistake because I still keep doing it a lot.
Yeah, if you play
Daniel
back
Bryan
our
for
show
so
from
many
last
years.
week and the week before, I did the exact same thing.
I mean, I will always call him
Just showing
Daniel
you that
Bryan.
a lot of people in high places watch the show. Hit the subscribe button.
So we were having the discussion. Obviously, it brought into the Monday Night Wars, and what I think is, and I'll bring up my biggest point, and you can kind of give me y'all's and kind of input on it. But I feel like the situation, even in WWE and in AEW both, I feel like one of the biggest things that made the Attitude Era, the Monday Night War era, including Eric Bischoff joining NWO, you had a authoritative character, a heel character that was above the law, above the rules, so to speak, and you had people trying to take him down. You had a person who you could not cheer for. He had no background. He had no history of I'm a great wrestler, and you can go back in time and look at all this good stuff that I did. Like right now, all of our heels, all the heels that are in AEW and WWE, all the top heels, I should say, they're not booed. They're cheered.
No, people boo the crap out of Kenny and MJF and the Young Bucks.
Not that I've seen. They're
Yeah,
always cheering them.
Did you not watch tonight?
Yeah,
Crap out of MJF.
Well, hold on. But what I'm getting at, that's
when
a
I
good,
go to an arena, I will boo the heck out of MJF. However, I am a big fan of his.
MJF is a good
Live crowd. They get booed like crazy.
Like Adam Cole was cheered, even though he's supposed to be a heel.
Yeah.
Was significantly cheered.
He hasn't done anything
if
enough.
If there was ever an exception to the rule, it's Adam Cole.
No,
he's
like
the
Daniel,
rule is
Bryan
you
Danielson.
boo. There is no
You have to build up that heat, though. Adam Cole hasn't been here long enough and done enough to build up that heat because the fans are still excited to see him. And then when you have an entrance song like as cool as his, how are you gonna boo somebody with a cool entrance? Kind of like Chris Jericho. That was the problem they had with him when he was trying to be a heel. Everybody would love singing along to Judas.
But that's what I'm getting at, is that there's too much history behind these. Now MJF is a good example, and Baron Corbin's a good example of people who actually get booed for being bad guys. But other than that small sample size, most
Don Callis. I've not heard one cheer for Don Callis. That's why he doesn't most of the talking for Kenny Omega. He has that go away heat that everybody's like, go away.
He's got that Vicky Guerrero heat.
I was like,
yeah.
but
I still remember whenever he was in WWF back in the day with what's his face? That's he's in the movie store now. Kurgan, and the Truth Commission. He was Cyrus the Virus.
That was
Don Catlin.
that might have been
Problem with but Roman, he's kind of like with Jericho, where they're that superstar heel, where even though they're a heel, they're that superstar level where they are going to get some cheers, just because he's like that cool bad guy kind of deal, with the cool slogan that people want to wear the shirts and they want to call him their tribal
he's
chief.
good when he can take cancer, face. His face turned with the cancer thing, like how everybody love him. And I say face turn because really he was face before, but like, how could you hate somebody with cancer and come back? But then he turned that into what he's got now. People were hating the crap out of him 6 months ago. So, yeah, he just happens to be the cool guy now.
But
and then Seth Rollins, when he is a heel, he does not get cheered. He changes his voice with that little nasally, whiny, I just want to punch him in the face voice. That when he is a heel, and they do give him a microphone, he does not get cheered.
But he gets cheered when he wrestles.
Does he? Like when he's a bad guy?
I mean, unless he's when he was the first being a heel, the heel that he was then, that he was booed because he didn't wrestle like he. It goes back to that what I was saying before about what people have seen. Obviously, you know what people have seen in Seth Rollins and over time, but when he was first a heel, where he was basically like. He was using the lackeys and stuff like that. That was different. That was a time, but again, that goes back to that authoritative mentality. That was 8 years ago. I mean, 7 years ago now. When he was that Seth Rollins, and then in the last 7 years, he significantly showed off how good of a wrestler he is. And now, unless he's even when he's finding, you know, it's that whine, like you said, the whininess. That's what he sounds like, but that's not how he's wrestling, and that's how he used to wrestle. You know, when he was first a heel, when he was first.
Yeah, I shouldn't use him as examples, but I just don't like him.
Well, I have a Seth Rollins T-shirt for every day of the week, so it's hard for me to be.
He's one of my daughter's favorites, so
yeah, I strongly dislike him, and I'm not a fan of his. In the ring,
my nephew's favorite is his wife,
Becky.
The man.
He's always rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. There's something about him that he's never really.
I mean, he did just perform a home invasion, so I mean that's.
Even before that, like
I mean, that's.
I think he was my even when they were the Shield, he was my least favorite. I was wanting Dean Ambrose or Roman Reigns to be the breakout star, but for some reason they went with him. And like I was never a fan of his.
Well, yeah, I mean that's because I think that in that instance he was a good. He at the beginning of his run he was a good heel. He got you to hate him enough that you.
No, I didn't hate him for his heels. I wasn't a fan of his on the indie scene either. As Tyler Black.
Why? I mean,
I just never been a fan of his. Like I don't know why. But there's something about him I just never cared for. Me personally. And it's like, of course, he's the one that gets pushed. Like, oh man.
I mean, he does just about everything well.
Oh, he does everything okay.
Jeez.
I mean,
I
didn't say great. I said well.
He's edge light. That's just, I agree with that.
God. Oh god.
Is he not?
I don't follow that idea.
I feel like they're two different beasts.
I do. I feel like they're different.
And I don't think you can compare those two. Just like people the other day online trying to compare Andre the Giant Big Show. I'm sorry. Those are two.
I mean, last time I checked, Seth Rollins didn't cheat on didn't steal back. Yeah, like and
you didn't hear about that?
What?
You didn't hear about when he cheated on his fiance and his whole thing? His fiance found out he was cheating on her with like a NXT wrestler, and so the fiance leaked like naked photos of him.
Oh yeah. No, I remember that. Yeah, no, that was
Edge light.
No, that he did. Edge is a home wrecker, man. It's different.
How?
No, when you can wreck your own life, but it's when you wreck somebody else's life that you're a douchebag.
What? So
he could have.
So he's the leader, or what?
Huh?
Is he the leader of that situation? Like,
I mean, I guess that would be correct. Yeah.
He's the cheater instead of the cheatee.
cheating, no matter how you look at it.
No, again, I'm a firm believer that you are more than welcome to wreck your life. It's when you interfere on other people's lives that you become a douchebag. That's right.
Get back to wrestling.
We're talking about wrestling. All right, we're back. Okay. Jeez. All right. So
I'm kidding.
Monday Night Wars. What we're talking
We're gonna stop
about.
talking about. I bet we're gonna stop talking about Seth Rollins and talk about Rock Jr.
No more Edge Light. Now we'll talk about Rock Jr.
I don't even know if that's the fair comparison.
Okay, let me ask you this: would facing the Rock elevate Roman? Well, I guess I shouldn't even ask that question. That's a whole different topic. Go ahead and talk about your main event.
I mean, that's fine.
I do think that he needs. I know he's had his feud with the Undertaker at a WrestleMania, but he needs another stamp of approval from somebody to be in that upper echelon.
Because you heard the rumors is he's only supposed to face like Lesnar probably like several more times, like Crown Jewels next week, and then he's supposed to face him again at WrestleMania, and maybe one more time in between the two. I mean, isn't that a little overkill?
I mean, considering he's already faced him twice, so that'll be 5 matches. 5
Bret Hart
matches.
and Steve Austin fought each other quite a few times, in that year, and they were all good matches. I mean, if they're good matches, I'm cool with it. And Lesnar seems motivated more than he's been in a while, so.
When was the last time Lesnar was a face? Like, I mean, it's just different.
But here's the thing: you're getting a face Lesnar again at a Crown Jewel. Okay, now at that point, people have seen that match. So what makes that special for them to face each other again at the grandest stadium mall at WrestleMania? I mean, you've already seen it.
You have a lot of people like Manosk and I don't know about Adani, but that are not going to watch the Blood Money pay-per-view. So, yeah, we'll watch it at the next one.
But still, it's just the fact that he's had this feud now, and we've seen it before. I'm not saying the match won't be great. I'm just saying that's the match. That's the marquee match they're going to use to attract people to want to attend WrestleMania and to buy WrestleMania. But it's not a first time ever type of situation, because at this point you'll have had face Lesnar versus Roman, unless you flip flop it and do a double turn before then and have Roman as the face at that point. But then that kills the Tribal Chief storyline.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to crush that. He's the top seller with the Tribal Chief stuff. So if anything, they might turn him face, as in he'll just change his opponents. But I don't think they're going to change his character or do much to shift that.
I mean, he doesn't have to. I mean, that's a tweener type. That can be a tweener type character. He's already getting cheered. So, I mean, he literally he raises his belt up and says, "Acknowledge me," and the crowds go wild. Like.
You see, if Tony Khan really wanted to go to war with WWE, and he say he started making the buy-in a regular thing on Fridays, an hour before Rampage, then I can see that making WWE step up their game and maybe start trying to develop some actual contenders against Roman Reigns and other feuds, rather than the same thing week in, week out. I think they would start focusing on building more superstars.
I would be really excited if they did another Raw versus SmackDown for Survivor Series, because I would like to see Big E versus Reigns.
Not this year, though, because we already know who would go over. I think they need about a year to give Big E a chance to...
I still think he could have a good showing, because, I mean, the talk of last year's was... oh my gosh, I can't even come up with it.
Drew McIntyre versus...
No, the NXT...
that was the year before.
Oh, was it? Wow.
Yeah.
Corona. The years of Corona.
That was the 2019, and the only reason behind that is because they were at war on the Wednesday night, and they wanted to attract people to start watching NXT, so they were making NXT the third brand, which is why they included them. But when that didn't move the needle for the Wednesday nights against AEW, that's when it was relegated back down to developmental and was no longer a third brand.
They kept calling up all their stars for that show, and then they flip flop different guys over there, but then it didn't. It just never looked good.
Well, I mean, the thing about NXT is that, and the reason they're, going, again, going a different direction is is essentially what I was telling you, is that, the indie darlings that they were, all the indie darlings that they signed, they made one, they were really hard to mold a character to, because they were playing. They were playing to the people who already were their fans, and two, those are people who, as soon as AEW became an option, everyone who was with WWE and NXT was already saying they're going to AEW, and it's evident by, and that's when WWE decided they decided they needed a paradigm shift in NXT, is that they needed to create their own stars again and stop.
Well, the issue, what caused it was NXT was AEW before AEW. Right. NXT was the go-to place where indie stars wanted to go, and NXT was what everybody was calling the best wrestling show on television, and it was better than the main product. And so they were saying, the word is, that was getting under Vince McMahon's skin, because Raw and SmackDown, the main product should be the best show, and that's what the attention. NXT was always a distraction. So actually NXT would have been relegated back to developmental if AEW hadn't come along, because it was just too distracting for the main roster. Raw and SmackDown are Vince's babies. Those are going to be his A and B shows.
I don't know that I agree with that. I think that if AEW hadn't come along, NXT would have actually been, just like you said, brand number 3. I don't think that it would have gone down. I think it would have gone up. Then,
well, because the thing is, the move to USA from the network was being said by all the experts as a defensive move, because AEW was going to be coming on TNT. So they decided they made the deal with USA Network to air NXT to USA and extend it to extra hour. Otherwise, it might have still been on NXT, and for all we know, WWE could have created a different show for that time slot.
Yeah, and I get that. It's just, I mean, obviously when you're talking, I mean, it's a situation with why would you give up making more money when you don't have to?
Because the thing with Vince is he only loves to think that this is his own creation. NXT is Triple H's creation, not Vince's creation. And even like wrestlers, Vince prefers wrestlers that he created. He's not a huge fan of a wrestler who made a name elsewhere. That's the whole reason behind like Zack Ryder. Reason he got famous on his own rather than going through the company and letting it be their decision. Mm-hmm. They're not a fan of you going out on your own. Like Vince likes Vince product. Roman Reigns is a Vince product.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I agree.
I mean, look at who like. There's nobody who became big since Hogan that wasn't a Vince creation.
AJ Styles.
Like no one does. Yeah, but look where he is right now. He's relegated back down.
Yeah, but he was SmackDown champion for like over a year. Like, I mean, and he beat John Cena. So I mean, like, that's pretty big.
Who?
He's like a modern day. I would say he's the modern day Shawn Michaels.
Who? I seriously missed who you said.
AJ Styles.
AJ
Styles.
AJ Styles. Oh,
yeah, AJ Styles is the biggest biggest character in WWE that Vince hadn't created.
Before he signed with WWE, he was the biggest star to never sign. But now there's a whole, staff of people at AEW and stars and people
He told the story how, after he made his debut at the Royal Rumble, he was kind of pushed back to the side, and he sold Vince. Like, Vincent actually really loved him and his personality, and
all of the fans.
Rare occurrence.
McMahon did not realize.
Yeah.
He also, I guess he didn't realize who he was or whatever. He thought he was a Japanese star. I don't think he realized that he was in TNA. Because when they were in Orlando, like, it should have been obvious that that was a spot for him, but...
That's the theory of why all these NXT stars failed, because they were created and got their fame from Triple H's NXT and not in the main roster based on a Vince creation or Vince's creative creation. I mean, look at what's Karrion Kross having to be redone to become like Gladiator.
Yeah,
And I think that's part of the reason that NXT isn't doing great is that all these people keep having to get repackaged or changed, remolded.
You heard
here.
You heard who's next one getting repackaged, right?
Who?
Cameron Grimes. They're gonna they're saying that he is gonna be repackaged before he moves up to the main roster because they're not satisfied with his current character.
well, I mean, to be honest, if he's going to be successful, he needs a character change.
Yeah, I mean, it's proven that he's got a lot of entertaining, charisma and stuff like that. So
he'd be great with.
And I remember him from TNA. He's got the ring code.
Is that our level of what's successful these days? If you're running with R-Truth, you're successful.
I said he would be very successful with his current character, running around with R-Truth chasing after the 24/7 championship.
So maybe he could be a Rosebud.
Wow.
I mean, honestly, it's gonna be exciting when he shows up, but he's gonna be chasing after that 24/7 championship. Just watch. Because he has that comedic timing that R-Truth has, and sadly, that's most likely where he's gonna end up. But it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, it'll be entertaining for sure.
Probably him and Meerkat chasing after.
So let me ask y'all's opinion again. Like, obviously, y'all disagree with me in what the heel world looks like today. But what do you feel like?
Hold on now. Well, what I maybe I missed how you were feeling about it, because
he was saying that there's no real heel.
I don't feel like there's, so in the Attitude Era, in the Monday Night War era, the heels in those eras were significantly stronger. They were significantly, like, their overwhelming presence felt more evil, like felt more like
dastardly.
Dastardly, like more of a supervillain than what we have today. Like, and it's a lot harder in my eyes to see a top face thwart a top heel today, because they don't feel special. And I felt like that's part of what made the Monday Night War era as special as it was. I mean, Diamond Dallas Page, Sting, like these were Booker T. These were three people who were going essentially against the whole NWO. So when they were successful, it felt special, and I don't feel that today. I don't feel that specialness of thwarting this villainous, like, even like the Dark Order, which was kind of in that direction. Like,
so
it's now mostly
you have
a joke.
Hangman going after Omega at Full Gear, and that's been like a 2-year storyline, building, and he's now the super baby face that's going after this King Hill, who's not even just a heel in AEW, but in all of non-WWE pro wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, the stuff that happened in Adam Page's or Hangman's personal life was semi-convenient, because it's given him this time off to where people wanted to see him. He got a louder pop than Bryan Danielson. It's really hard not to say Daniel Bryan.
It's a wrestling. He's the same person.
But yeah, everyone's cheering for him. Everybody wants to see him finally dethrone Kenny Omega as the top and finally take the belt from him.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Is he's gonna have his Sting moment.
Yeah, but that's
from November '97 to November of 21. We're getting our next guy.
I mean, that's fair, but I don't. The pop was the. I guess what I'm confused about is, and obviously the promo that he gave tonight that I watched had nothing to do with Kenny Omega. It was strictly about Hangman Page.
Right, he's been going through, like, his character's been going through stuff and has been trying to build his self-confidence back up for the past couple of years.
Yeah, he was drinking alone in the bars, and then the Dark Order kind of picked him up a little bit, and then they did their whole thing. And, like, it's been building.
It's been a storyline that started even before AEW, like when they were still in Ring of Honor and New Japan, when he was still best friends with them, and like it's been an ongoing storyline since then.
Right,
and like a lot of it is on being the elite.
I mean, like I said, I understand that point, but it's just I don't. Again, it's yes, that's good. That's good booking, and that's good. You know, that's good content carry. You know, the consistency. It's not the.
There was also a point where I was really pissed off and hated Chris Jericho while he was the champion because he was doing really heelish things. John Moxley, during his championship reign, was doing super heelish thing, and I realized that's in the past, but then his character morphed into something different.
Yeah, but we're talking about
currently. I still feel like MJF, even though you don't necessarily agree with me. I feel like there are plenty of people that hate him while he's performing. I hate his performance. However, I only hate his performance because he's that good at it. I mean, really, I hate him more than I hate the Miz at this point.
Well, I'm not disregard. Like, I'm not stating that y'all aren't. You're not making a viable argument for them being good heels. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I don't think that anything they're doing is special. Like, I don't feel like watching them. It's what I'm getting at is that in the WCW Attitude Era, is that I felt like I felt like you had an overarching villain. And like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like a comic book. What you have today, again, it goes back to AEW is not sports entertainment, so to speak. It's professional wrestling. So you're not going to have the same stuff that you had during the Monday.
No, there's pretty sports entertainment. That's what people are laughing about. They call themselves pro wrestling. Like, no, if you watch Dynamite's pretty sports entertainment. Rampage is pro wrestling.
You don't have the Undertaker trying to sacrifice Stephanie McMahon on an alt.
Yeah.
Like this is.
I wouldn't say that was a good thing.
Well, no, I know, but what I'm saying is that's a type of thing that when somebody rescues that person, like when somebody goes against this huge cult type thing, like you admire that person that much more. And
that's what we're saying. They've had those moments. Cause like I don't think you ever saw the Double or Nothing when they had the first Stadium Stampede when Hangman wasn't even involved in that. He had his Stone Cold moment where he comes riding out and helps the team out and that
on a white freaking horse. They kept that.
Yeah. He's had some Stone Cold moments before you started watching Dynamite. And some of their pay-per-views and stuff, like he's at that level, like with the super face, and then Kenny Omega is now at that point as a super heel. Where what's the one thing everyone keeps saying, like, is Hangman has to be the one to dethrone him. You have like Kenny Omega facing the other people who normally get cheered, but people don't want to see anybody else dethrone him but the Hangman, and they want him to be the Stone Cold Steve Austin, like White Knight coming and slaying that dragon. They don't want anyone else get credit for slaying the dragon. they want Hangman to be that person.
And I think the cool thing is that the type of heel that you're wanting maybe isn't there, but what we're getting right now is a rehash maybe of a little further back. So you're wanting 90s heels, but what we've got here is 80s heels. Think Ric Flair, think I don't know, just your classically trained wrestler that's just better than everybody else and he knows it.
Yeah,
and
I mean that's fair.
That's Kenny Omega.
But that's not the type of wrestling. I mean, obviously, it's my opinion, which is this whole thing is opinion based. But that's not the type of thing that the type.
You're
of...
wanting more sports entertainment type villains. What you're saying?
No, I mean I do think there are classic heroes. Oh,
well, what you're saying is like you want more of like he's saying he wants that Undertaker about to sacrifice Stephanie McMahon. He wants like that storyline super heel where it's impossible to like and possible for anybody to cheer for, and then somebody then get that Stone Cold Steve Austin The Rock pop because of just coming out making the save.
Yes,
they have guys like that. Archer.
No, I know they have him at AEW, but I think the main thing is like looking like in the WWE, they don't have anybody like that, but they can, and that's what I was mentioning in the chat where they could actually do that storyline with Big E and Roman Reigns. When you're talking about you wanted Roman to be like the undisputed champion, like yeah, maybe have the unification, have him take the championship away from Big E, and then have a storyline of Big E and the New Day, right, trying to rise back up to the top, facing off against the Bloodline, and give Big E his big moment at WrestleMania, dethroning.
Yeah, and also remember,
you know what, that writes itself.
Well,
Big E loses the belt at Survivor Series. He has to come back and win the Royal Rumble. Then they're going to take it from him, and he's got to win it back at the next pay-per-view. And then they eliminate all the New Day and beat him up really bad, and they're both off the shelf. And then all of a sudden, he's got to come back into WrestleMania and win the thing. I mean, that writes itself.
Well, I mean, kind of, obviously going back, to 2014. I mean, Daniel Bryan's story arc, where he was basically put down, and then by Triple H and all that, and then he had to come in and beat Triple H, and then also beat Randy Orton and Batista at WrestleMania to become the champion. That type of thing is kind of what you look at. When's the last time we had something? When since 2014 have we had something like Daniel Bryan taking over a wrestling program, because the fans wouldn't let
Kofi Kingston in the gauntlet match before anybody knew that he was even gonna, like, I'm talking about in WWE period, writing room, anything that wasn't written.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know that Kofi Mania was going to happen. He kicked so much butt in that match that they had to write it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And see, the difference is WWE doesn't listen to the fans, and the fans got fed up about them not pushing the stars that fans want to get behind. And that was both those cases where fans hijacking the show and WWE caving in and giving them what they wanted with both Kofi Mania and the Daniel Bryan movement.
Mm-hmm. But that was real life. They got turned into a storyline, but that was kind of real, right? And I get that, but that's the type of thing that I'm kind of emphasizing in what makes those moments are special above every other instance of wrestling that I've witnessed in the last since I've been watching wrestling again in 2012. Those specific instances where Daniel Bryan and Kofi Kingston were able to manifest pushes because the fans wanted it, were and they had, because they were able to because the writing then created an atmosphere where there was an overarching presence keeping them down. So essentially, in my world your WWE is the heel. So you can't, and the fact that these fans were able to beat the heel to make these particular people, get to finally get pushed, and it goes back to Vince McMahon. Like there's Vince McMahon during his time with Stone Cold Steve Austin, like or The Undertaker when he was part of the corporate ministry or whatever. Like there was never a time where I felt like where I felt like there was anyone who could stop that person. And I don't feel like that for anybody other than anyone other than in that time period. Like Eric Bischoff, I didn't think anyone could stop Eric Bischoff's NWO. I was.
And you've had people come back and try doing that over again, but then at this point, that authority figure has kind of been played out. So even if somebody tried doing that again, it just doesn't work anymore because it was already special because it was done. It hadn't been done before when they did it. So what you need is something new and something different. You need that threat. This is what Bully Ray says and Busted Open. Like you need that threat, that outside threat that threatens the whole company. There are people who actually feel like the company's threatened by them, and then you have that white knight come in and go against that threat. That's what you're looking for.
Right.
He said the exact same thing like a couple weeks ago.
I mean, you had something really close, and I feel like he elevated the middle tier championship over at AEW, and Miro was pretty unstoppable with that belt.
Dude, they had their AEW games. They've been doing like a FIFA tournament for over a year, and they had the final championship today where Miro was undefeated. No one's ever scored on him, and he went up against John Silver, and John Silver's never even played the game before, and he scored on him twice and beat him. We're like, dude, you're having a bad month.
Wow.
You can see how crusty he was in his face.
He usually does pretty good on up, down, down when he was on there.
Yeah. Well, he screwed himself over because he was being cocky. He's like, I'll let you use Finland. They're like probably the worst team in soccer. And then John Silver chose where the championship last year was. So he handicapped himself too bad, and they just crushed him.
Little that was definitely a bad finish for Miro. If you get my drift.
Really funny. You know, what'd be really funny is if he really did play, or if he really did know how to play, or whatever. And then he just tricked
John Silver.
A bad team. Yeah.
Adam Cole kept asking, like, "Are you trolling him? Like, did you really know how to play this game?" No, I really don't know how to play.
Yeah. The ghost of Brody Lee was playing the controls.
That was an awesome moment. But yes, and in WWE, you're not going to get that, what you're looking for, mainly because it's a different company and they're not catering to those hardcore adult fans. They're trying to bring in new casual fans. And
with the recent signings that they've been having and the slight edge that they've been having, I think they're going to go back to that monster heel, monster guys.
Well, here's the thing. They can only go that edginess with Raw. They can't do it with SmackDown because it's on network television. They can't get away with the same stuff they could on USA.
That's fine, but they have a lot of stars on Raw right now that can move over to SmackDown and keep it good, and then shift some other guys over here with these big guys that they're going to be trying to develop.
But if you look at it, I don't know if it's the better talent or if it's just the better writing team or whatever it is on SmackDown. You would need that, whatever is working on SmackDown on Raw, in order to even do something like that. Like, people tune out of Raw. People only tune in like the first hour and a half, maybe first 2 hours of Raw. I don't see that happening on Raw, personally. And that's the show it'd have to happen on, with the edginess.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Vince, this is what you got to do. cut the third hour, quit playing with this.
That's not happening.
Yeah, cut the third hour, quit playing with us.
Not happening.
Add a third. If you want to do a third hour, do it as a talk show or something like back in the day, Titans Towers or whatever you want to call it. I don't care, but quit the third hour BS. We're over it. You got too much wrestling. You're polluting the airways. Let's go. Let's do this thing. And Vince, retire. We want Triple H in charge.
And actually, it's sounding like Triple H might not even be the next one in line. Probably the other Nick Khan taking over.
The Khan versus Khan. The war.
The Khan Wars.
But the reason that third hour is not going anywhere is because they make too much money off the commercial.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of the. I mean, other than Monday Night Football, what else is going on? What else is going on from 10 to 11?
1 hour. 1 hour and 1 hour, and you can put something in the middle. I don't care.
It's a variety show. I mean, the fact
We'll be back in an hour.
as long as they're staying over 1.5 million ratings, why should they change? To be honest, if like the ratings stay there no matter what you do, I mean, why change anything? Ratings means you're doing something right. So as much as we don't like some of the
Ratings
stuff,
means a lot of
now,
people went to the bathroom and forgot to change the channel.
the fact that people are still
That's
tuning in,
definitely
and
not the case.
The fact that people still tune in, and the fact people still attend live, and people still view the pay-per-views means they're doing something right. It may not be catered towards us anymore, but they're still an audience for what they're doing, who enjoys what they're doing, even the stuff that we don't like.
Yeah.
There was a point where my kids like to watch WWE every week. Other than the cussing, and they're always like, "Oh, Daddy." Other than the cussing on AEW, you know, and the fingers and stuff.
And they said a
They
lot
like
of
that
cuss
better.
words on tonight's episode.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of cuss words.
It's for adults.
The same cuss word, but they said it a lot of times.
It's for adults. Like if you ever get a chance to attend it live, I promise you've never been to, unless you. It's like going to like a heavy metal concert, to be honest, with the crowd engaged, people drinking, everyone having fun, and like the audience is a member of the show.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I saw TNA back in the day live, and they kept me pretty entertained. I mean, Pope is pimping, baby. Pope is pimping. It was a good time.
I mean, I've never attended. It was the first time I've attended. I mean, I've attended it twice, and it's been like this really live crowd throughout the whole thing, and time goes so freaking fast.
Yeah. We're getting to the point where we need to start wrapping it up. We're a little over an hour now, which when I cut it, it'll probably be right at an hour. But ultimately going back to, I think that a Friday night, just to circle back to our initial topic, a Friday Night War, design, I think would be fine. I think that it would instigate, obviously additional creativity. SmackDown being the Roman Reigns show anyway, and it being the A show, I think that they would, AEW would be better suited trying to, if they were to try and start a war, would be better suited to try and challenge Monday night than Friday night, I think. And
They're not trying to start the war.
I know. Well, no, I know. I'm just saying that if that was the direction they wanted to go, given everything that WWE has done, or rumors to have done, if they continue to try and sabotage.
The thing is, AEW, Impact, all these other wrestling companies, it's recognized. WWE's at the top. They're the king. Nobody wants to go head to head with the king. It's WWE that picks the fight with these other. Well, that was Hogan and Bischoff with the Impact. So that was stupid. But everybody else have been wise enough. They do not want to go head to head. But at the same time, Tony's not going to back down when they want to go head to head against him, he's like not going to tuck his tail and run, but he's going out of his way to not compete because he wants as much viewers as possible. And when you do go to war like that, you're going to lose. Both sides are going to lose out on some viewers.
That's true. Yeah,
he probably made a quick phone call to his dad, and he was like, "Hey, Dad, listen, they're talking smack about me and my crew. You think we should go commercial free? I love you, Dad."
You heard his comment though, right? Where he's like, "I have more money than them, so if they really want to do this, I can last much longer with no commercials than they can."
And then I heard that they were talking smack about his intelligence, saying that Ted Turner was smarter. And then he even was like, "You know what? I don't know if he is smarter or isn't smarter. I'm not going to talk trash about him. I don't know the guy. But I love wrestling."
Because like the thing I love about Tony Khan is he's us, except with $1 billion. Where he grew up watching the Attitude Era, and he grew up a huge ECW fan and a huge WWF fan and WCW fan and all of that. And his main goal was to make AEW ECW with money, and that's pretty much what it is, ECW with money.
All right. We got a couple minutes left, I guess. Anybody got anything else they want to talk about real quick? Bodacious?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and call it here. Thank you, everybody for watching. Please, if you like the video, hit the like button. If you want to see more content like this, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That way, you will also know when we have videos go live. Also, hit the notification bell, so that way you are notified when I upload a video. Please go.
Ring-a-ling-a-ling.
Please go and follow us. Go and follow us on Facebook at Adonis Gamerspace and on Twitter at Adonis Gamerspace and at The Greatest WRE1.
I will like to leave it off by saying if you did not watch the buy-in and see that Bryan Danielson versus Suzuki match, watch it. If you watch nothing else this week wrestling-wise, watch that match.
Watch it.
Well, appreciate it again, and
on YouTube.
I hope y'all have an amazing wrestling week, and for my co-hosts and myself, this is Adani, Manask, and Bodacious signing off.
Later.